Okay, so hi everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Mrs. Mummy Penny Talks, and next in the series I have another woman. I realise I've had quite a stream of women on this interview for a few weeks now, not done on purpose, but we'll just let it flow. So today I've got a guest who is Georgie Caitlin, and Georgie, I've not, well, this is the first time we've actually seen each other's faces, but we haven't known each other for that long because I've recently discovered her incredible product that she sells, which is, I'm going to demonstrate, although this will, no, that works, Yoni Oracle cards. So it's like sort of daily guidance cards, and we met through a mutual friend, the wonderful Kat Biles. So I wanted to get her on to talk about her life story and her business and everything. So we'll see where the conversation flows for the next 45-ish minutes. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me, Lynn. I'm a bit nervous because I don't normally do things like this, but I'm practicing getting out there a bit more. So yeah, it's really, really good to talk and to be able to share a bit of my story.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So the first question I always start with then is, how on earth did you get to this point of this business, and sort of give me a bit of a potted life history as far back as you want to go?
Okay, wow, that's quite a big question. So
yeah,
where will I start? I would say, so I'll just talk about what I do, might give a bit of context. So I work with empowering women or people that identify as women, to really get in contact with their body and their emotions, and to learn to rest, not to keep going on and doing, but to just be. And that's from my own experience of burnout, which was quite a few years ago now. I've had a few traumas along the way in my life. One of the main ones was at 29 in 2003 when I was diagnosed with cervical cancer.
Wow.
And
29.
Yeah, I was 29. So that just really, I knew obviously there's a physical condition there, but there's also, for me personally, I looked at the spiritual and emotional aspect of it, and I'd realised that I'd suppressed a lot of my sexual energy, my sensual energy, which is also your creative life force. And that had come from, now we're going way back, from being really bullied as a teenager, and well, actually quite decades, quite severely. So I've learned to make myself small and not bring attention to myself, and obviously that you can't do that without there being some impact on your body and your emotions, your psyche. And cancer.
Do you think that first 29 years of your life, then, do you think that almost manifested in a physical?
Yes, for me.
God, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, for me, it really feels that way, and especially when you look at the female cancers, like cervical womb cancer, breast cancer. They can be either about overgiving or just suppressing that energy. And obviously I'm not dismissing that there's physical causes or cancer. I had traditional treatment. You know, yeah. I had a hysterectomy, and I had amazing doctors and was supported. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist in the physical form. I'm just saying that for me, it always feels like there's also an emotional, spiritual aspect to any condition or disease. To look at the person as a whole. So for me, I started looking at my womb, my cervix, and it started a massive journey, looking at different ways of being, which actually led me to train as a psychiatric nurse, which, so yeah, because I was really pulled towards the psyche and our thoughts and how that impacts on our bodies. And I ended up being a crisis nurse. So helping people when they were really in desperate need, or in the spiritual transformation, or at that crisis point where things didn't carry on anymore. And I loved it, but I got burnt out. I got
That is
totally burnt out.
I can't imagine how stressful that job must be.
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're, particularly if you're an empath, an empathic person, I can tell from 5 minutes of conversation with you, as am I. And when you're an empathic person, you take on what those people are saying to you, don't you? You can't help but to, which is again a huge pressure on your mind and body.
Yeah, so it's almost like I'd had the cancer, I journeyed with that, it led me to nursing, but I still hadn't quite grasped the nurturing of myself. So I was still giving and not looking at my roots, my foundations. And it got to the point when I just felt, if I don't do something differently, you know, I didn't want the cancer to come back. I mean, I'm 17 years clear now, so I'm fine. But you know, when you've had something like that happen to you, your mind does. It's like in the back of your head, isn't it? To sort of think, right, okay, I need to make different choices, and I can see another pattern happening again where I'm getting burnt out.
Yeah.
So I was completely I did an exercise where it was, if you were to die tomorrow, what one thing would you wish you had done? And mine was living in a community. So bearing in mind, I was still nursing. I was with my partner, who I'd been with since university. We met when I've got a business degree. We met when I was studying there. My daughter was at York University, and I just thought, I have to leave this life. I have to leave, and so I did. I handed in, left nursing, left my partner, and went.
My God.
Yeah, it was so, and it was really difficult for me because I'd spent 20 years building up this foundation. Because for me, security and my own home was key.
Yeah.
But I had something overrode all of that, and there's a community, it doesn't exist anymore, but in Dorset, called Gaunt's House, and I went there, lived there for 9 months, and
I can't get my head around this. So you had a responsible life, a traditional life, a job, a husband, a daughter, but your daughter was at university.
Yeah, well, it wasn't another. Yeah, it didn't have a husband. It was a female partner.
A partner. Sorry, I shouldn't have made that assumption. And you walked away from it all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It was really hard, and
what was everybody's reaction? That's me talking here, because I really worry about other people's judgments, and I know that I shouldn't, but that's my insecurities coming out.
Yeah, but I made sure, I suppose, I told people that I knew would be supportive first off, till I felt strong in my decision.
Yeah.
Because it was a huge decision to make.
Yeah.
So if you have people coming in that are doubt, it can wobble you, can't it? But you know, when you get that core decision and you know, it was just so clear.
It's like a lightning bolt, isn't it?
Yes.
I had a very similar situation when I decided to leave my husband. I remember I was walking down the stairs. I have put this, it's all right, I can talk about this because I put this out there. I was going to an award show last May, and I was walking down the stairs, and it's a really posh like award show. I looked amazing. My makeup had been done at like Debenhams. I had a beautiful dress, like really nice heels. And I walked down, and he just looked at me as if I was a piece of dirt. And that exact moment was what in my mind, it's over. And like 2 weeks later, I told him, and so that was May, June last year.
Well done, because it's that because that's our inner knowing, isn't it? That's our like, we all have that, but over time we've learned to sort of not listen to it, because sometimes there's no logic, is there, to doing it, and your mind can frighten you, but our bodies know these things. And you know, and something in your soul, your psyche was just like, no, that's it, that's my boundary crossed, no. And I suppose part of my work is about tuning into that, because if we follow that real deep heartfelt truth, it will be okay. I mean, it's hard. It's not to say, you know, leaving your life behind is not easy, but living in a life that's slowly crushing your spirit isn't easy.
I think that the thing that I always take comfort from, and I have this conversation with my children a lot. So my children are like 12, 10 and 7 when we go on our walks, is I made this decision predominantly for me because I was so unhappy, and if I'm unhappy, you 3 boys are going to be unhappy. It's like the putting your oxygen mask on in an in an airplane before you sort out your children. I had to sort out myself, and I know it's had a destructive impact on a lot of people, but it was positive in the wider picture.
Yeah, and change is scary, you know. Even when it's a really positive change, it can still evoke, it's the unknown, isn't it? And creatures of, or me, you know, I'm a creature of habit, and I like to know certain things, but sometimes you have to shake it up. And so I was just thinking, so that was in 2013 when I left, and things are starting to settle down more, but I had many more adventures where I had to just follow where I was sent, which is why I ended up living in Glastonbury in Somerset.
I love Glastonbury.
But I hadn't been there. I didn't want to go there because it felt like I was having like a midlife crisis. And I was like, I'm not moving there. And 2 weeks before I actually ended up being there, I was going to move to Frome, because I was like, well, Frome is more not hippie central. But I couldn't do it. You know, when something within me was like, no, you can't, that's not where you're meant to live. And so I just found somewhere on spare room and just moved there. And it was just, and I'd never driven so far on my own, because it took me 10 years to learn to drive, so I'm a bit of a nervous driver. But I had packed all my stuff up in my car, drove from Hertfordshire, because that's where I was living, to Glastonbury, Somerset, and lived in a shed in someone's back garden. Very strange experience.
That's amazing.
The landlord was amazing, and we're friends now, but you know, it was, and I think now I couldn't do it now. I don't know what gave me the strength and the courage.
You'd be amazed, wouldn't you? The strength that life events cause you. I won't dwell on this too much, but your mum's recently just died, and my mum died 27 years ago. So we've had quite a lot of conversations on Instagram sort of about it, and those kind of big life events, I suppose they make you go maybe one way or the other. My response was absolutely, because I used to live in Penzance in Cornwall, and
I want to move there. We're looking to move there.
Are you? What, Penzance?
Yes, specifically.
No way.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, this is like perfect to talk to each other. Oh my gosh, so but my immediate reaction when my mum died, so I had to do my A-levels, but I ran as far as I possibly could as soon as I was able to. I lost the plot for 2 years. I do not know how I got my A-levels. I think there was just something, I like you'll get this because the person you are. But I think that some of my mum's spirit passed over to me. And my mum was always really passionate about being really independent and doing whatever you wanted in life. She was literally like, Lynn, you can do whatever you want to do. So that was all sort of passed over to me. So I did sort of get my A levels and went off to London. But I had to get away because of that. Everywhere I looked, it was my mum, and it was so yeah, it's a hugely life-changing thing when your mum dies.
Yeah, it is. And I as I said to you when we chatted, my mum passed away in an accident, you know, falling down the stairs and, you know, breaking her neck and being paralysed, and that, for me, when that happened, one of a bigger, obviously the grief and the sadness, and I'm still the same before, it still hasn't really sunk in, but one of the big emotions that came up was like, live your life, you know, live your life, follow your passion, follow your dreams, do that one thing that you've been aching to do, because wow, you know, in the middle of all this pandemic that's happening, my mum fell down the stairs, you know, and that was it. Gone. So, you know, grab life, even if it is scary.
No, God, we're meandering hugely here, but it's fascinating conversation. So my job, right, is so I'm a personal finance expert, and so I operate in this world where I have to be quite balanced, okay? But then I've got this huge thing in my head of, because my dad also died when I was a teenager, so it quite often happens, doesn't it, where one parent dies, another one dies quite soon afterwards. But my parents weren't that old; they both had heart attacks and just died like that. But oh gosh, I can't even remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, it was I think I absolutely agree that life is for living, and if you need to make a big decision to change your life, then you should. But there's also another side of me, which is you have to prepare for the future as well. Because of particularly at the moment, like, we don't know what's going to happen over the next year to the economy. So things like, we're talking sort of basic personal finance guidance, having an emergency fund in place, having some savings, having a pension in place for the future, thinking about what support your children are going to need when they're a bit older. It's really important to have those things in place. But then also, I'm not going to sacrifice having nice meals or going on holidays for the other. So I just think life is about balance as well.
Completely.
There are a lot of people, particularly in my world, who are very frugal, and all their savings, they're just pushing all their money into savings, and they're not spending anything on themselves. Well, come on, like, you've got to enjoy your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, and you've got to enjoy any decade, haven't you? You can't always be focused on the future, because you could die, because my mum died when she was 58 and didn't spend any of that money she saved. So
I think it's a good point that you raised there about the balance, and like not swinging one way too much or the other way. I mean, I was lucky in that I had you know, had some security from my job and the house. But I think I would have probably had to have made that decision anyway. I think there are some decisions that you just have to do regardless of the implications, but your foundations, so even if your finances perhaps aren't where you want them to be, but your emotional energy is, your physical, you know, you've got some rootedness, you've got the support network to be able to help you, so that you can then build up that security, isn't it? It's all about being rooted in your decisions.
God, I couldn't tell you how many people have said to me this week, Lynn, go out into your garden without any shoes on and root yourself to the ground, root yourself to the floor, because I've had a tough week, and a lot of my spiritual friends have been trying to give guidance. I am actually having a massage at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So
Great. Perfect.
yeah.
Being in your, isn't it? It's in your body again, and like nurturing your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right, let's talk about your cards.
Yes.
I'm going to show some of them because I think you have to appreciate the beauty of these cards, and then you can maybe explain a little bit about how they work. So I think I first saw you on Instagram back in May or June, because so Kat, our friend in Antigua, has got some, and also Denise.
Yes.
Denise in Ireland, who I interviewed last week. She's got some as well. So I saw these people posting these cards, and then I think you do readings on Instagram,
Yeah.
don't you? So you'll put sort of 3 cards down. Oh no, you put them down at the front, and then
you can choose one, and then
so daily guidance cards. I actually discovered daily guidance cards in Glastonbury at my first visit, which was 2 or 3 years ago, and I got some angel cards, and you choose the cards you're drawn to, right? That's what you're meant to do. So I picked up these cards and I love them, and I occasionally do readings for other people because apparently I've got a bit of a gift to pull the right cards for people. So when I saw these cards, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get them because they are beautiful, and they're very feminine, in all my favorite colors, which is pink and purple. But my favorite ones are like the really colorful.
Yes, she's
like
amazing, that artist.
Rainbow Yoni. I love that one.
Yeah, me too.
They are pictures of naked women or vaginas.
Yeah.
I love that one because of the tree. But yeah, all the colourful ones I really, really love. That's a really beautiful one.
Yeah, I love that one. So so the cards actually took 4 years to make, and it was a huge journey. It was so the idea came through when I was living in Glastonbury, and it felt too massive when it felt like, oh, I can't do that. And I thought, oh, I know, I'm just getting inspiration to buy some cards, some Yoni oracle cards. So Yoni is like the Sanskrit word for womb, feminine creation, ovaries. It's like the cosmic womb.
Right.
So I thought, I just need to buy some. I couldn't find anything like it, and I thought, and I was like, oh, I'll just leave that. I'll just pretend that idea's not come through. And then I couldn't sleep because I had to keep writing. So through the night, I was just writing. And so then I was like, okay, I'll do this. I'll make them. Didn't know how they were going to be made or anything. And because I'm quite structured and I'm quite logical in some ways, I thought, right, I'm going to write so many cards per week, etc. Get it all done nice and neatly. It didn't happen like that. It was like I was living the cards. So each of those cards have come through an experience.
Wow.
So, and I'm just thinking about your job and what you do. The Yoni of Abundance. So there's a card that's Yoni of Abundance in there. Was the last card to come through because this is an area that I struggle with. Haven't quite got my head round properly. And she's had 3 different drawings of her.
Wow.
It wouldn't, my energy, I imagine, like trying to bring her through, and it just wasn't happening. So she was the last card to be made, and like the artist that drew hers, Kerry. So she's a pretty potent one now. She's had that journey. So some of the cards took 18 months for the energy to come through, and I had to journey with them. So there's 9 different artists.
Yes. So you created, you came up with the creation of each card, and then you commissioned the right artist to do the. Wow.
And again, that was a very organic process that was just sort of guided the right person to the right time. And the lady that's drawn the pencil ones, Helen, I remember seeing her artwork, and on, I think it was on a newsletter, someone's newsletter, something, and thinking, wow, I love that artwork. I really want her to be part of the project, but not having the confidence to approach her, thinking, well, why would she want to do something with me? And it took about 4 months, and again, that energy just come through that I had to do it. And I thought, right, I've just got to ask her. So I contacted her. She said yes straight away. Yeah,
that is
she said yes straight away.
Wow.
And it got her on her path, because I thought she was like an established artist, but she wasn't. She'd just sort of been starting out, and so so it changed things massively for her as well. So again,
that's serendipity, isn't it?
Isn't it? And like if you get this urge, to do something or approach someone, whatever it's about, follow it, because there's some magic behind that. But our minds, again, are self-sabotaging. Isn't it? I'm not good enough. Why would they want to work with me, etc., etc. So
no, you're right. I've mentioned to you earlier, I've just finished reading The Alchemist. So I was in Norfolk last week for a week with my boys. I've had a really, really manic lockdown. Like, work's gone absolutely crazy, and I also decided to rebrand my website and Mrs. Mummy Penny, and I've written a book. I really went for it. And the book's about money, but it's also like a memoir of my life. So I've interlaced a lot of the decisions I made that were good, and a lot of the decisions I made that weren't so good, along with sort of financial guidance. It's not advice, it's just guidance, because I'm not a regulated financial advisor. So I took on too much, I really did. And plus, like, my ex-husband had just gone just 4 days before lockdown, which is obviously a very positive thing, but it had a really big impact. I had a bit of a breakdown, sort of meltdown, when my body gave up and my mind gave up. But I had committed to doing all these things. So when it finally got to summer holidays, I was like, right, boys, we are going to a cottage in Norfolk, Wales next to the sea, and we just spent every single day, because I'm from Penzance, like, my heart is in the sea. I recharge when I'm at the beach and the sea. So we just spent every single day at the beach and just swam, collected shells. There were seals crawling out of the side of the water. It was bliss. I can't tell you how amazing it was. And it just gave me a chance to decompress after 4 months of incredibly positive stuff, but also some really tough stuff.
And you did exactly like you say, like what your soul, your body was craving for, and your heart, being by the sea. And it's that point that to create and to build a business, we need the rest points, we need the still points, because that is when the inspiration as well comes through, the new ideas. It's in that dark still point, isn't it, where you're just not like on the computer or writing or phoning people. You're actually just enjoying, you're in that bliss, freedom, and then you'll sleep, and then suddenly you'll get an idea for something else, like how to make something easier. So it's so important.
So when did your cards come out?
They were launched last year at Glastonbury Goddess Conference. I had a stall there, so it was I was get my words out. I was looking back at some old posts, and because I kept thinking they were going to be launched earlier, but things would come. Things would change and happen, and it's actually one artist that was in the original as it was getting ready to be launched, who was a friend, decided she didn't want to be part of it. So just as it was ready, that was like, wow, that's interesting. What do I do about that? And so some of the cards, I think about 7 cards are different, but it actually works much,
it happened for a reason.
It happened for a reason. At the time, it was like, oh my goodness, So yeah, but eventually, this time last year they were launched.
Cool. So and you've got you buy them from your website.
Yes, yeah.
But
Glastonbury, you can get them at the Goddess shop.
Right. Okay. I don't think I went to the Goddess shop in Glastonbury.
Do you know the Goddess Temple?
No.
Oh, right. Next trip, you'll have to go.
I have every other weekend, like without my children. So I was actually thinking of just going there one weekend that I'm free, just by myself.
Yeah. It's a lovely place to be on your own.
Yeah, no, it really is. But I got them from your website, and then but you're very present on Instagram.
Yes,
so you're Yoni Oracle cards, or
it's just Yoni Oracle on Instagram.
Yoni Oracle on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you can get a really good feel for the cards on there, because you do a lot of posts, just getting people to choose what card they feel is right, and then you give a lot of detail about what each card reads. I'm
very happy for people just to ask me questions as well. And to talk about them. I mean, there's 45 cards in total, and they're divided into different archetypes. So the Maiden, the Mother, Enchantress, and Crone, and they all mirror different aspects of the divine feminine. So times to rest, times to take action, times to let things go, and times to like self-nurture and nourishment. So they're more, I'd say they are an oracle tool, but they're more than that. They also can help with healing and guidance and insight. So they're different to anything else that's out there at the moment. I'm sure more things like this are going to start appearing because it's needed.
Sure. They are so different to anything I've ever seen. And actually, I was in a shop in Royston.
Yes.
So yeah, I was in, do you know the Cave in Royston?
Yeah.
So I was there a couple of weeks ago, and they've got the biggest selection of cards I think I've ever seen in a shop. And I was like, right, I'm gonna look for some cards. Because each day, sometimes I choose a card in the morning, sometimes I don't, but I just sort of pick up the box that I'm drawn to today. But there was nothing like what you do, nothing at all. And actually, I think I said to the owner of the shop, why haven't you got Yoni Oracle cards? Because they're so different. So, and I hopefully she's looked you up.
That'd be good.
All the other cards are just so similar, aren't they? There's so many versions of angel cards or goddess cards or animal cards.
It's difficult because they are different as well, because it's like people's perception of what they are and what they can do, and because I'm self-publishing and can only afford to do 200 sets at a time, so I haven't got the big marketing, the big publisher, the big getting them out, but they've gone to over 30 countries just being that small.
30 countries. But so I'm self-publishing my book, and the really powerful thing about self-publishing, well, there's a lot of powerful things about it, but you it's yours, and nobody can control anything you're doing. And if you want to get in touch with the biggest retailers of oracle cards in the world, then you can do that. You just have to find the right person to talk to and have that confidence. Like, I'm going to talk to the book buyers at Tesco because I want Tesco to stock my book. Like, I can do that. I don't need a publishing house to do it for me. And also, if you think about your audience who follows you on your social media and the traffic that comes to your website, that's so specific to your product that that you've got your own audience. You don't
Yeah,
need this big sort of.
exactly. I think you're right. Instagram has been like, I think that's been really good for my business.
It's perfect social media for your business. Perfect.
Such a great platform. It's again, it's that confidence of getting out there, because I'm quite a shy person in my nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, that was another thing where I had the like, no, you have to do it. You know, the time's right, do it now. And I think instinct in business is important.
Yeah. So apart from I just need to keep an eye on time because we need to wrap this up in sort of 5 minutes. What lies in the future? Like, do you know what's next?
Yeah,
or
well, I'm actually writing it. Yeah, I'm writing a course to go with the cards to help people to work with them in more in depth. So I'm doing that at the moment. I'm a bit behind on that because life. But I'm also writing a book, Womb Rooted Business, looking at not getting burnout, having structure, having your roots, how to market and sell if you're not comfortable with it. So I suppose it's incorporating my business degree from, like, when was that, 1996, and my life choices and how I've worked through things, and like building a business up now, and being an introvert and shy, but how you can still get yourself out there, but also looking at inclusivity, sustainability, just working with the earth, you know, like respecting everything, and yourself. So it's, you know, when something's out in the ether and it's just filtering down. So yeah, I'm just there at the moment. That feels like that needs to come out, but how and when, I don't know.
Yeah, and we're both members of this incredible, like, online community. So you've done the PR
yes
course.
Yeah, I think what Kat offers is amazing, because it's working with your heart, which resonates like really closely to me, and it's not your mind, it's what feels right for you. So what she offers is just fantastic.
Yeah. So she's got a community of around, I'm gonna say, like 100 women, or people who identify as women, who we've all done this course, which is PR from Heart, as you've talked about, which was a game changer for my business 3 years ago, real game changer. And we sort of help each other out in the group, and I've got loads of, in fact, the Sue, who's doing my massage later, luckily lives near me, and I only know her from Kat. I've got lots of friends who are there, and it's all really like-minded people, because we're all sort of in touch with our softer feminine sides and spirituality, and we're all very creative people. So it's an amazing group. And at some point I am going to Antigua, but I was meant to go in March, but obviously coronavirus stopped that. I'm currently due to go in December, but again, we're not really sure if that's going to happen. So at the moment, Kat and I are talking about whether we should just move it to March next year. So I will get there eventually.
Yeah, that'd be an amazing opportunity.
God, I just can't wait for that. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's a great look up Kat Biles. Give her a big promo as well. So let's just go through how people can find you again, and go and buy your cards, because they are amazing, and it's important to support small business.
Yay! The only oracle cards.
The only oracle cards that exist in the world. The only cards.
So my website is yonioraclecards.com. And Instagram is just @YoniOracle. So you can find all the information and stuff on there, and I'm happy to answer any questions people might have.
And I certainly share the cards quite regularly, normally on my Insta stories. So and I'm sure I put them on my main grid a couple of times. But
yeah, I've definitely seen them, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, that's good. That's good. I like to do this thing where I do lots of work with big brands, and they pay me quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then I like to sort of give back to smaller businesses that obviously don't have the kind of marketing budgets, and I do a lot of work for small businesses for free because it's nice.
Yeah, again, it's that thing, isn't it? You've been filled up, you've got the money from the bigger companies, and then you can give back. Whereas if you were just giving and not receiving, you can't do it. You burn out, and
doesn't work. It doesn't. No. I know it doesn't.
Mm.
And also really interesting is something I've been doing a lot of during lockdown is so I work quite closely with a charity called Grief Encounter, who I don't know if you know about them, but they give counselling to bereaved children. So they didn't exist when I was a teenager, and what I would have given for some counselling when I'd been 16. So I sort of feel like it's really an important charity for me to now support. Now I can. And I did this crazy challenge during lockdown, which aided my physical breakdown, where I did 500 kilometers in the month of May, where I either walked, bike or ran 500 kilometers. And I got to 400, and then my body was like, no, you're stopping, and shingles just appeared from nowhere. So but anyway, I raised loads of money because loads of people were supporting me, and I've kept the Just Giving page open for Grief Encounter, and I was also giving some of my turnover to them during May as well. I said that 10% of my turnover could go to them, and I think I'm up to about 800-900 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that's but it's interesting, it's had a really positive impact, I feel, on my business, because I've been doing all this sort of work to give to the charity and to support products I love and friends' businesses that I love, and yet my business is growing stronger. So I really feel like it's karma and the universe in action. I really do.
Yeah,
I'm maybe getting a bit too hippie there for people watching. It's working. So
yeah, well, I think it's like, giving, receiving, it does work, but it's being able to receive as well as the giving.
It's just an ongoing cycle, isn't it? Life is a cycle. Right. It was amazing to talk to you.
Oh, Andrew, thanks for having me on.
Calm now.
Good.
You're an amazing person. Thank you so much for my cards. I absolutely love them, and I urge everybody who watches this interview or listens. I tend to get a lot more people listening to the podcast. To go to your website and buy them, because they're incredible. If not just for the art. Oh my gosh,
the art is amazing.
You could when I first opened them, I was like, you could create this amazing sort of framed picture of all the cards, couldn't you, into some art for the wall? That would look amazing.
That would look lovely, yeah.
Maybe there's another product stream for you. Well, thank you so much, Georgia. It was really great to talk to you. I will stop pressing record, but don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, everybody. All of the details will be in the show notes, and obviously I'll be plastering it everywhere on social media. Stop.